done a chipper yet. So.
I've done a chipper. And consider there's three athletes in last year's. They did what? Was it 3 guys and 2 girls last year?
It was Froning,
Khalifa,
Briggs, and
was it Annie?
was it Annie? Yeah, it was Annie. I think.
Was it 4? Or wasn't there a 5th guy? I can't even remember.
On the final one,
Yeah.
Khalifa and Froning. I thought it was just Khalifa and Froning.
No, there was a 3rd guy.
There was?
This guy who blew ahead of everybody, and then he lost.
It's not Bailey. It's not Pansick. It's not Bridges.
Let me look it up.
It's
Somewhere.
Graham Holmberg.
Holmberg.
Oh,
I forgot. I totally forgot about that.
It's because he's like nobody knows. It's like nobody thinks of him when you think of like great CrossFit athletes. You don't think of Graham Holmberg.
That is really weird because
but you know his name. Everybody knows
his name. But
2008 champ.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Word up. All right, guys. Shall we begin here?
Yes, sir.
All right, so welcome back, guys. Episode 9, Dogs of WOD Radio, broadcasting live from Phoenix, Arizona, inside SpartanFit CrossFit. Today I'm here with Scott Porter and Ken Miller. We got a pretty good show planned for you today. And right off the top, we've had some tragic news hit the CrossFit community here locally, obviously. For those of you who knew Jason Fine and or worked out at CrossFit North Scottsdale, his passing occurred on March 20th. He lost his battle with cancer, and the guy left an incredible legacy. I've never seen anybody, in my lifetime, approach this with such positivity. He kept making, positive statements and positive posts. He and his wife Erin, they handled this thing with grace like I've never seen before. And I know, Ken, you had a chance to meet him at least once, and maybe you wanted to say a little bit about that.
Oh, I met him once, and it was just such a great experience. He was obviously facing death, and it kind of reminded me of my experience with my mom. I mean, he knows his time is up, and yet he's more worried about his family and his gym, and he was very unselfish in his time that was left here. He was, doing research for cancer, or doing fundraisers for research for cancer, and he just had a really great attitude, and he's really inspiring because all of us who do this, we're not doing it to make a ton of money. We do it because we have a passion and a love for CrossFit and helping people, and it was just really awesome to see everybody gather around him, and he left behind a legacy of just helping people. And it's you kind of think about your own mortality and that, in that time, like what is the legacy I'm leaving behind?
Right. Yeah, I mean, Jason had Project Kindness. So if you guys haven't heard about that or familiar with that, be sure and check out Project Kindness. All of his friends and family, CrossFit North Scottsdale, Erin is left behind, and I'm sure she's facing some pretty serious medical bills and all that sort of thing. So, if you can or you want to help support Erin and paying down some of these bills, get in touch with CrossFit North Scottsdale or check out Jason Fine on fundraiser.com. That's FUNDRAZR.com, and shoot a little money their way. And at one point, I think they were selling T-shirts to support some of that, and help mitigate some of those costs. So we just want to, send our condolences out to everybody associated with Jason and that community. And, the CrossFit community definitely lost a great person. He'll be missed. So with that said, we're going to start this week's show. We're going to go back and take a look at 15.4. Scott Porter's going to break that down for us. We'll talk a little bit about how that went down.
Yeah, so I think last time we recorded was right before 15.3. So now we got 15.4 that just came out last week, and that was it was a new movement involved with it. It was handstand push-ups. So Dave Castro threw a little curveball and definitely ruffled the feathers of some of the people in the community. But yeah, you throw them something different, and all of a sudden they're not generally prepared.
Right.
But I like the couplet. I like the idea of pairing handstand push-ups and power cleans On the surface, it looked like it was going to be just essentially a basic handstand push-up density test with testing your capacity to do high volume handstand push-ups in a short time domain. The workout was an 8-minute cap. And the way the workout worked was, you started out with 3 handstand push-ups and then 3 power cleans. And then every round thereafter, you keep increasing by 3 reps with the handstand push-ups. With the power cleans, you did 3 rounds of the same amount of reps. So 3 rounds of 3 on the power cleans, and then 3 rounds of 6, and so forth. And then the weights in the power cleans, 185 for the guys, 125 for the ladies. So different type of tests. I kind of liken it to the 15.1A in terms of the results that it yielded, as far as you had some outliers that were just putting up huge numbers, like specialists on the handstands. So people that didn't do as well on the other workouts, but they just killed this workout. So kind of like the clean and jerk. I mean, you could have done terrible like myself on 15.1, but then put up a pretty good score either on the regional level or even world level on the clean and jerk. So this workout, it's interesting because just from looking at the results in the Southwest region, you've got top tier regional level athletes that have been at regionals for past years that did very poorly on this workout. So I mean, that does, in my mind, bring a little doubt as to the legitimacy of this workout. Was it programmed correctly, or maybe it's just people didn't train it. They didn't train handstand push-ups. They kind of left that out. But you figure if you're a regional level athlete, you have to have that skill. Mm-hmm. You have to have that in the bag, because you're going to go to regionals and you're going to get tested on it there. So, I can't see anybody like, regional level, like, I'm throwing his name out there, but kind of throwing him under the bus. But, you had DJ Brimhall, who only scored 93 reps. I scored 94, and I personally think I'm terrible at handstand push-ups. So, and then it's just surprising to see that guy, because he is just a specimen. He's got an engine. He's strong. He's got a 300-pound clean and jerk on 15.1A. He's a lighter guy. He's got short levers. So it's kind of like, oh, how did he not do well in this workout? And then you've got Brian Holland, who only got 92, 93 reps. And these are guys that have been to regionals, and they put up poor results on this workout. So it was definitely interesting to see the results of it after the fact. But
well, I think a lot of that has to do with the handstand standards. It was something that nobody's ever had to even do before. They put your hands up on the wall and mark it off, and then nobody could go wide on their handstand push-ups. So I know the majority of competitors like to put their hands out as far as they can possibly get away with,
right? And
they continue to train that way all year long. Mm-hmm. So now, when the standards are that strict, a lot of people were having an issue with it. A lot of people were struggling to even put 3 together.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that right away with Josh Bridges.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. On the announcement, he didn't know what to do.
That's a really good point. I mean, everybody saw the new standard for the handstand push-ups, and that's probably why they haven't introduced it in the open, is because it is that gray area of what's a good rep and what's a bad rep. And people get these massive kicks. They're so far away from the wall. It's the shortest range of motion you've ever seen. It's like, okay, this is a little ridiculous, But they introduced a new standard, and Josh Bridges just falls apart in the workout. And as a guy, a games athlete, obviously, and you expect him to just smash this, because I think he was #1 in the world on the regional workout, which included strict handstand push-ups, burpees, and front squats in last year's regional. #1 in the world there, but then loses to Scott Pancic by 25 reps.
It wasn't even competitive.
It was, and you could see the level of frustration on his face as he's going through the workout. He's getting no reps, and he can't figure out why. His heels aren't above the line, the tape line on the wall. So unfortunately for him, he got caught, having to do this workout within a few minutes of notice, and it showed. But then he came back and did the workout again and put up
like 167 reps.
Yeah.
So he beat his score by like 40 something reps.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he was no rep severely.
Yeah,
during
a ton.
that. Yeah, exactly.
When you get no reps 10 times, you're losing 20, 30 reps because of the energy and the time that it costs. So I think the new standard changed the game for sure, Ken. But seeing Josh come back and put up that big of a score, I think there was a learning curve with it. I think most people did this, a few times. Did this workout 2-3 times. There's not a lot of eccentrics in this workout. Most people will be doing singles on the cleans, so you're not getting a lot of fatigue and CNS drainage from the power cleans. And yeah, sure, the handstand push-ups are going to beat up your shoulders a little bit, but it's a fast eccentric. It's not like you're doing overhead squats or chest to bar pull-ups or wall balls where you're having tons of volume of eccentrics that are going to cause a lot of soreness and a lot of CNS drain. So you can come back and do this workout almost 24 hours later. If not, we had people doing it 36 hours later or even 48 hours later, and did this workout 2-3 times. And each time you did it, you were improving.
Right.
I know that I improved my score by almost 30 reps, and I did the workout twice. So the standard changed the game, but you figure these top level athletes are practicing the standard Thursday night. They should be. And then maybe a test run Friday, and they realize, okay, the standard sucks, it's going to change it. And then they have to do the workout, maybe 2-3 times, but still to only put up, 90 something reps when you're a regional level athlete is kind of bizarre to me. And it kind of I kind of question the test, or, when you have a few people that put up these poor results, okay, maybe they're outliers, but, across the board, looking at different regions, you have games level athletes not doing well, regional athletes not doing well. So, I'm not sure where the workout could have been improved upon, but I did like the idea, even though I suck at handstand push-ups. I liked it, and I thought it was a good change from just the standard workouts you see in the open every year, because everybody makes these predictions of what's going to come, and then he just throws it out there, handstand push-ups, and throws everybody off.
Yeah, I'm going to take issue a little bit with what you said. I think that what constitutes a regionals athlete, just looking at the numbers, is going to change year to year, right? Because we are going to grow, we are going to change. You've seen just from the inception of CrossFit, like where 225 for reps was a big deal. Now it's nothing, right? It's 315 minimum on a lot of these workouts, and some of these workouts are including 405 pulls, right? I think that basically, the idea behind CrossFit is that you're eliminating extremes, right? So if you look at the leaderboard right now, worldwide, you see lots of games level, regional level athletes in the top 25, top 50, names you've seen before. But at the same time, you see, on these workouts that were sort of newer, like workout 4, you see like the top scores coming from like Fraser and Froning, Ben Smith, these types of people. I think the number 4 result is Josh Bridges right now, right? So they adapted pretty quickly, whereas when you look at the workouts 1, 1A, and 2, you'll see they had much lower scores in comparison to the rest of the world. So it seems to me like they adapted to the standard better than everyone else when I just look at the numbers.
Well, yeah, and as they should. I think the open, it's for everybody, right? But really, it's not. It's for
not anymore.
It's
not anymore.
The
not
reality
anymore.
is it's not, and I don't know that it ever was. Even though if they marketed it that way, they're always trying to, they're thinking about the games athletes,
Sure.
And these guys and girls can do pretty much anything you throw at them, and they're always going to be the top performers, pretty much any type of, standard CrossFit workout.
Sure.
Maybe if you did an absolute strength test, you can have some people slip in there, that aren't really even doing CrossFit, but they're just stronger.
Yeah, for sure. And you and I, obviously, we have the events business that we run on the side, and when we sit down and we talk about programming, we talk about what it takes to make a good event. I can see what they're trying to do here is create the best spectacle. That's really what it's all about at the end of the day. You want people to attend the games, you want people to show up and support the athletes, and you want it to be fun to watch, right? So you're going to do what you can to snip off those outliers. If you're looking at the bell curve, you want those athletes that are hitting high marks toward the middle, and then the people who are really good at one thing or the other on opposite ends of the bell curve, they get cut off. And I think that's really what this is about. And it's interesting to see those numbers stack up like this, because when you talk about the general physical preparedness model of CrossFit, you really can't complain about anything they throw at you, right? Because they're telling you up front it's going to be GPP, right? It's general physical preparedness. And then here we see in the worldwide results, we see these guys, putting up some of the best scores. So I thought it was a cool workout. It was definitely different, and we'd not seen anything like that prior.
My only issue with it was the 185 clean, because the reps were so low. Like you were just saying, 225 for reps nowadays isn't, that hard. So 185
Says the big guy.
It's pretty light. Yeah, well, I like lifting heavy. What?
Some people thought it was too heavy.
Really?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, especially for the females with 125.
Yeah.
I think they did an analysis where it showed a lot of people that got 3 reps, and there was a huge cluster of scores right around the 3 reps. So essentially, they got the handstand push-ups, but they couldn't get the cleans. But yeah, then here we are talking about, well, the cleans should have been heavier, or it should have been slightly more reps.
Yeah.
And with maybe a longer time domain. I mean, it's hard to know exactly. I mean, the results might not be that different for the majority, but I mean, for sure, for someone like you and me, we want more reps, we want heavier weight, and we're going to do better.
I want less handstand push-ups. And when I say less, I mean none.
The interesting thing about this workout, I thought, and Scott, I'm sure you have an opinion on this as well. We've talked about this a lot. We've talked about how CrossFit creates a particular body type for success, just like every sport. And it's not to knock CrossFit, but everyone has a different set of levers they're working with and a different set of weights and heights. And the interesting thing about this workout was they programmed the clean to be right at about the average CrossFitter's weight, male weight, and just under. So you got like 190 to 200, so like the 195 range, that 5'6" to 5'9" athlete that we say is the average CrossFit male. He's basically pulling his body weight, or just slightly under. And the same thing for the females, right? They're pulling 125, which is just maybe 10 pounds under the average body weight for the average female CrossFitter. And maybe 135, 140 would be the average. But I thought that was interesting how it came out that way, and I didn't think about that until we started looking at some of the numbers. But to have to pull your body weight, I thought was significant. And for a lot of the smaller women, it made a huge difference. Some of the girls that were competing don't even weigh 125 pounds.
Yeah, and you can't get around, I guess, arguing for that this workout, was not for the small athlete. You know what I mean? So it's a handstand push-up density test with a moderately heavy power clean. Sure, but for the games athletes, the tall people are not doing good on this workout. They're just not.
They haven't done good on any of these workouts.
Well, yeah, that was something that I wanted to talk about in today's recording, was just, I'm always going on the game sites and I'm looking at past results, and you look at the games athletes for last year and you're like, who's over 6 foot? And these 40 people, and there's just hardly anybody. And if they are over 6 foot, how long have they been doing CrossFit? So the one guy that comes to my mind, who is a veteran and placed second at the games in years past, it was either 08 or 09, is Tommy Hackenbrook. And here's a guy who's 6'1", they list him at 215, which is, you don't know if these weights are accurate, but actually I just brought up his profile, it's 209. But, I think he's probably somewhere between 210 and 220. And he's listed at 6'1".
He looks heavier than 210.
He does. I mean, he's lean. So, I mean, I've never stood next to him. I know Dan Pila has from here, and Dan said he's a pretty well-built guy, and Dan's 250. So I would say he's definitely between 210 and 220. And he's 6'1", and on this workout, he was 150th in the region. In the region. This is a veteran games athlete, and he only put up 105 reps.
Right.
Now, he's been doing handstand push-ups for how long? 6, 7, 8 years.
Sure.
He should do well in this workout if it was balanced correctly. But it's obviously catered towards a smaller, lighter, or shorter athlete.
Yeah, I think it just kind of cuts off the outliers, right? Like if you're a big guy, you're not going to do well in the handstands. And if you're a gymnastics pro, you're not going to do well necessarily on a heavier lift, right? Especially if some of the little guys, like you said, obviously if you're if you're a regional level or games level athlete, a 185 clean is nothing for you, right? If you're, Johnny in the gym here, weekend warrior guy coming in 185 is a big deal, maybe more of a big deal for you. It's going to probably be your limiting factor because, strength is going to come into play quickly. Like you said, you're going to burn out the CNS quickly. Your breathing's going to go through the roof. You're going to redline on that, possibly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the flip side of that is you got to watch out for the burn on your shoulders, right? So it seems like they're doing their best to try to cut out all the outliers, cut out the big guys, cut out the gymnastics specialists. Who can do both to the best of their ability. That's kind of what I take from it anyway.
Yeah, we've got to see what they come out with tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And what the workout's going to be. I mean, maybe they do throw a heavy barbell in there, and then I'll say, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will. Thank you personally, but I think I said to our team right before the announcement last week was they better end this freaking open with 2 heavy barbells in 15.4 and 15.5. There has to be a heavy barbell in both workouts.
Yeah.
And so they came out with this workout. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be heavy. I mean, I know some people are going to struggle with that, but 185 really isn't that heavy for people that have been doing CrossFit for a while, for the guys. And so now we still have 15.5, and a lot of people are, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but a lot of people are predicting lighter thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically what you see.
It's usually 95,
It's usually, I mean, you look at past opens, and they're always ending with lighter thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They've never done an ascending thruster. So people are predicting light thrusters. They're predicting burpees. They're predicting box jumps. And we'll talk about our predictions later. But if they really do end it with a light barbell, I'm gonna be disappointed. And not as an athlete, but in the sense that I don't think this is 5, if you count 0.1A, 6 workouts that are fairly tested, because there's just not enough. If you're looking for the cream of the crop and the top 20 guys to go to regionals and girls, and when you get to regionals you're going to be having heavy barbells, why aren't the heavy barbells in the open? Because you can still scale it down. So, I mean, my personal opinion is they need to have either a heavy squat snatch, which I don't want personally, but in this last workout, or some kind of heavy barbell, which we've already had clean and jerk, we've already had power clean, so you're pretty much limited to a squat snatch. Because then your handstand push-up specialist who has moderate strength is going to get crushed if he doesn't have a good squat snatch. And if he does, he's not an outlier anyway, and he's probably at the top of the leaderboard on every other workout. But just looking at some of these scores, we have people in our gym that are really close to games level athletes. That doesn't make sense. When you have someone who's been CrossFitting for 6 months that puts up 101 reps and Tommy Hackenbruck gets 105, to me, that doesn't make sense. And
what's this build? The guy got 101.
He got 101. He just started CrossFitting 6 months ago, and he's probably 5'9", 170. And he came in, he was pretty strong for his size.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, should he be beating a games level athlete?
But what was his limiting factor? Like when you watched the workout, I didn't see the workout. But
I didn't see him. It was Tyler, and I didn't see. Dan judged him, and I was judging somebody else at the same time. We were in separate rooms, and I think his limiting factor was intelligence. I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to listen to the podcast, but from what I was told by Dan was he basically had no plan. He didn't pace. He went 3 unbroken, 6 unbroken, 9 unbroken, 12 unbroken on his handstand push-ups.
Oh, wow.
Then his 15, he went 10-5. Then on his 18, he went 6-6-3-3. Now, there's guys that put up like 150 reps that broke it up more than that. So Dan was telling me, had he paced it, he would have had the top score in the gym. And he may have scored another 20 reps. So I think his limiting factor was probably internal pacing and auto-regulating, knowing when to back off on the handstand push-ups and breaking them up early. And you get that from years of experience. But he's moderately strong. I mean, his power clean's probably mid-200s, so the 185 isn't too heavy for him. I just don't feel like someone that just started CrossFit 6 months ago and is probably in the 20,000s worldwide should be putting up an equal score to a games level athlete.
Well, it's interesting because he does have an athletic background, you know, we're talking about Tyler. We're talking about you, bud.
Yeah.
We love you, man.
I don't know you, but hi.
But and two, I think he's right at that body type that CrossFit screens for, basically.
Right.
True.
You know, he's right in that range. You know, he's a little light. His strength is a little off, but he is a strong kid, and he's got a lot of potential, and he's super young, right? So, like you were saying, he could have scored higher if his mental game was on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we see this over and over, especially in younger athletes who just want to go out and, you know, balls to the wall, everything.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because if it would have been cool to see 3 athletes who were new to CrossFit, specifically CrossFit competitions, in 3 different body types, with Tyler being the center.
Yeah.
Let's see how the taller guy would have done with a similar background, and the more gymnastics or smaller guy would have done with a similar background. I think it would be interesting to see if the gymnastics guy could pull those cleans, and vice versa, if the tall guy could get those handstand push-ups done.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the body type is definitely a big factor there. And Tyler has the perfect body type for this workout, and he is good at handstand push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not taking anything away from him.
Sure.
He's built for it. He's light. He's strong. He's a pretty good presser. He's got a good clean. His engine is nowhere near Tommy Hackenbrook's. So, you know, it's just one of those workouts where you get done with it and you're like, that wasn't an open workout. That was like I just did, you know, as far as your normal training day goes, that was A1, A2.
Right.
That was my skill
session
and my strength,
Yeah.
and I'm just going back and forth.
Yeah, there was
and
nobody.
that's how you felt when you finished the workout. You're like, you're not on the floor gasping.
There's
for
nobody
air.
that was on the floor gasping.
You're not dying. You know, you have to break up the reps because, you know, as you guys know, when you hit that wall on handstand push-ups, you're just standing there.
Yeah.
You're just standing there looking at the wall,
When it's going, it's going.
waiting for that blood to get out of your shoulders and your triceps, and then you get back on the wall and you knock out a couple more reps. You know, in years past, you finish an open workout and you're like, oh my God, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. You know, every single time you do that workout in the open, but then they come out with this one and it's like, well, let's do it tomorrow.
Right, and that's a good point because nobody at my gym was like on the ground afterward. It was kind of, people were happy. Some people were happy because they got their first handstand push-up, or several of them, and then some people were happy. One guy who PR'd is clean at 185, which is another topic in general. I mean, when do you, other than the open, when do you encourage people to try to PR or do something in the Metcon?
Right.
Like, hey, my one rep's 175. Should I RX? Yeah, it's the open. Why not? Go for it. If you get a score of 1, it's still, or a score of 4, then
It's completely against what you've been teaching.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
And I actually talked to a coach. I was like, when have you ever, other than the open, encouraged somebody to go for 185 power clean when their 1 rep is 175?
Yeah,
I mean,
never.
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 But here, it's because it's the open. You know?
Yeah.
But
It's an
anyway.
excuse to get injured.
Yeah. But he got it, so good job, Jason. Anyway, yeah, when I think of an open workout, I want to think of, I hate to say it, but 14.5, when the thought of redoing it just terrifies you.
Yeah, don't say it.
A lot of these ones, even like 15.1, there was a lot of, I mean, we've talked about this before. It's, you're just waiting to be able to do more toes to bar, or you're
Correct.
waiting to do more handstand push-ups, or someone's hanging from the rings trying to do a muscle-up for, I forget how many minutes it was, 14 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's for, I would say that's for some people,
Yeah.
but for the top level people, you know, they're able to continue and cycle through those movements. It's a triplet in both of those cases. They were able to keep going through, and it was a gasser. I mean, 15.3 with the muscle ups, wall balls, and that was a complete gasser. And then 15.1, although not as much, 9 minutes. If you're able to keep stringing toes to bar together, I mean, you're moving nonstop. There wasn't many people moving nonstop on this workout. Even people that had pretty good regional scores.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you're looking at the 150s and up, they never stopped.
Right.
But you know, 120 was a good score. And in 120, we had one girl in here do 121, and she rested. And when she got done, she just kind of stood around, like, and then she finished the rest of her training day.
Yeah.
So and then she's like, okay, well, what else should I do?
Yeah.
I need to work out.
Yeah, that's what I liked about this workout, though. You
Like
know,
the rest?
yeah, I do. I mean, but I have more of a diesel engine, and I move very slowly, right? So for me, like I loved that about this workout, and I loved the fact that it was so different. You know, I thought it was totally a change, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to be Johnny Cardio to come in and get a good score if you had good handstand push-ups. Like I do think that the limiting factor in most of this year's Open has been gymnastics, though.
For sure.
And I think that, you know, that might be by design. You know?
Yeah, and that's what I mean, remember last year was light, right? The heaviest barbell was 135 in the entire Open, and that was inside of a chipper. You had 30 power cleans and 14.4. So that was the heaviest barbell. And so you had people advancing into the regional that probably didn't deserve to be there, and we talked about that. That just didn't have the high skill strength that you need in the regional level. I mean, when you have a 185-pound overhead squat after whatever it was, 49 pull-ups, actually it was more, 64 pull-ups for the individuals.
Yeah.
The last workout in the regional was 64 pull-ups,
and overhead squats,
and then I think 7 overhead squats at 185. And there's people that are, you know, doing ones on the overhead squats. And it's like, well, how are you at regionals? Or, you know, putting up really low numbers in the squat snatch. I think it was a hang squat snatch. And, well, that's because the Open didn't test any of that.
Right.
It didn't test any heavy barbell, so you didn't have to have it. And so they're like, whoa, all these people are advancing. They've got great gymnastics. They've got great engines, but they don't have the strength to be at regionals. And this year's Open, you know, just like you said, the limiting factor has been gymnastics the entire Open.
Sure.
With the exception of 15.1A, every single workout has had a gymnastics movement.
Yeah.
So, you know, toes to bar, and then chest to bar pull-ups,
muscle
and
ups,
then ring muscle ups, and then handstand push-ups.
Yep.
And so 0.5, you know, continuing the theme, what could it be? I mean, maybe it's like we talked about before the show. Maybe it's going to be bar muscle ups.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what the plan is, you know, because I find it hard. I would find it very difficult to believe that all of this is random. So I feel like these workouts have probably been programmed for ages, you know, or at least esoterically they existed for ages. You know, they had some idea what they wanted to do. They already have some idea what they're going to do at regionals, and they already have some idea what they're going to do at the games. And I think all of these filters are in place to put on the best show at the games, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the best are going to adapt, as we've seen from the leaderboard. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, we could wish for what we wanted to have happen, right, all day long. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We don't get to make that choice, and we get what we paid for, which is the unknown.
I want a refund.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people
it goes
do.
back to what you said, though. You would think this is supposed to be GPP, but how can you have GPP if you don't lift a single heavy barbell in the entire workout?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you can't be saying we're going to throw what life's going to throw at you, but does life never throw something heavy in your way?
Says the big guy.
Yeah. Hey, I've never had to do a double under in real life. I've had to lift heavy shit.
You sound like me talking to my math teacher. When am I ever going to use this in real life?
Well, I mean, it goes back to what we talked about, I think, on the previous episode, is that CrossFit is not testing their own definition of fitness. They're testing the sport of CrossFit.
Right.
And so like Jason said, you know, and I agree with, is that, you know, these workouts were predetermined. And I think Castro's even mentioned that when they're, you know, this year's games, he'll have next year's games workouts already figured out. He's already planning next year's games. It makes you wonder, though. I mean, if he's coming up with them and having people test them, and who's testing them, and I'm sure there are people doing it. But you know, it's a sport, and you know they have to have an end game in mind with what they're trying to test. And you know, as much as they say it's constantly varying, and you know, generally prepared. High intensity, functional fitness, you know, mixed, you know, time domains and everything else. You know, you just can't fit all that in 5 workouts, and it's going to have some kind of bias. Someone's going to be upset, obviously. Can't make everybody happy, but I mean, I tend to agree with you and think that there should be a heavy barbell in the Open. I really liked last year's Open, and not just personally, but when obviously a little bit personally with the heavy deadlift, but you had an ascending heavy deadlift for the first time, and so I'll kind of retract my statement when there wasn't a heavy barbell.
I was just thinking you said there was only one.
There was an ascending deadlift. Why are you telling me? Forget about that. Because I don't consider 315 heavy.
Put the shovel down.
Yeah.
I don't want
Stop digging the hole.
Retract my statement. But that was an interesting workout. With it having an ascending barbell, you thought that the strong guys were going to come out on top. But it didn't really work out that way because it was 8 minutes.
Gymnastics was a limiting factor.
It was step ups and box jumps, and it annihilated me. But you had guys that weren't really that good at deadlifters, but that just had a really good tank, really good engine, putting up good scores.
Yeah.
So anyway, I retract my statement about there not being in last year's Open. But I like the concept of throwing that in there.
315, whatever.
It's all the same.
It's all the same, right?
30
For
reps.
Scott, it is actually.
Scott curls 215. What are you talking about? In the squat rack.
I just wish I was more in shape for that workout.
He's like that professional football player doing the multiple 315
Yeah.
clean.
DeMarcus
DeMarcus Murray, there.
The hoppy.
Yeah, the hop.
It wasn't really a hand power thing.
I
It
know,
was
right?
something.
But yeah, I mean, I like I said earlier, with after 15.3, you had the muscle ups, the wall balls, the double unders, no barbell. Dave Castro said no barbells in this workout. So I'm thinking, okay, next 2 workouts, heavy bar, then it'll be balanced. I guess you could say 185 power clean is fairly heavy with years past opens, since it wasn't ascending. But it'll be interesting to see, do they have an ascending thruster in this workout? Do they have a heavy squat snatch? What do they do to kind of create some balance? And I think they will. I'd like to say they will, and I think that's going to end up being the case. And if they do, I think that this year's Open is going to end up being fairly balanced and obviously achieving what they're looking for. And the right people will get to the regional level. And it is interesting because there are some people that are former games athletes, former regional athletes, that are not going to make regionals.
Well,
but it's just getting more and more competitive.
Exactly.
It just shows you that, like Jeff Evans right now is in 36th, and he was 2nd in the Southeast region last year, and he's probably not going to make regionals. So, but the Southeast region is one of the most competitive regions. So it's not just he may have something to say about the workouts, but I think it really just comes down to that everybody's getting better, everybody's getting younger, faster, bigger, stronger.
Young people, I swear.
Yeah.
well, I mean, at the end of the day, right? I mean, the right people, quote unquote, right people, always go through because they were the best in that given condition for that given day, right?
Well,
it's not just about the workout, right? I don't know Jeff Evans, but maybe Jeff Evans had a rough year. Maybe he's just not performing well for that reason. I don't know. Right?
Scott gave a good example of like Hackenbrook got 105. Is Castro trying to weed out to like get the 5'9" like stereotypical CrossFit? Is he trying to weed out the tall people? I mean,
I don't think he's trying to do
that.
that.
Do they find what markets best for the sport of CrossFit, and now they're gearing all the workouts to get that person?
Yeah, I mean, it's something to think about. I don't think he's necessarily trying to weed out tall people. I just think the
I'm a very bitter tall person.
Well,
I just think the sport of CrossFit inherently is going to.
Yeah, the movements themselves do that.
Yeah, and as time progresses and the sport evolves and develops, 5 years, 10 years from now, I don't think you're going to see any guy over 6'1" at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, ultimately.
I'll be there.
Well, I mean,
I'll be visiting.
We've talked about that. Yeah, you're spectating, right? Yeah,
Get my ticket.
serving drinks in the stands, delivering water.
I'm not qualified for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see anybody over 6'1" competing.
That's right. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're talking about, like you said, a sport where it kind of reminds me of the UFC when it was in its infancy. And if you remember back to the early '90s, late '80s, I think it was when it first got started. Anybody fought anybody.
Yeah.
Right. You had little guys going against big guys, and
Sumo wrestlers versus.
yeah, exactly. And then ultimately it evolved into what it is today, which is you have weight classes, right? And CrossFit is no different. But the thing of it is right now it's in its infancy, and everybody's going against everybody, and it's not really a fair test to put a 6'4" athlete against a 5'6" athlete. the 6'4" athlete doing thrusters is always doing more work and will always have to move faster than the smaller athlete to get the same freaking score, right? So at some point, I think they will have to address that. You know, right now it's just broken up by age, but at some point, the sheer geometry of the individuals will have to come into play, because all of this work being performed is dependent upon the levers of that specific individual.
Yeah, I think people have talked about it before, like having height classes. And I think I absolutely agree with you. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but maybe as it grows and evolves, it might happen down the road.
Totally.
Because it's gonna weed out the people that are just too tall for the sport. It's just
too damn tall.
It's just going to be at least the way the workouts are currently designed.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
especially on gymnastics movements, when gymnastics is your limiting factor, right? And so far it has been for this particular workout for a lot of people. You know, the taller athletes are going to get fucked. Let's just be honest. You know, I watched, you know, I'll throw a shout out to Dan Pila, great athlete, young athlete, former football player. You know, I watched him do his first go round through 15.4. The limiting factor was definitely the handstand push-ups. You know, I mean, he was basically reverse curling 185, and you know, but he was, you know, his heart rate and breathing was elevated because of the handstand push-ups. And that's going to happen for bigger guys. It's just the way it is, the way this open was structured. You just had to deal with it. You had to fight through for every single rep you could possibly get.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it's always funny when you go on Facebook and you see short people saying that they have it harder. But I guess that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about the rower. We haven't had any rowing yet.
Yeah, well, if there's a 500-meter row for time, then they have reason to bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
I would almost liken that to the handstand push-up workout, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I mean? If they do a 15.5A and it's a 500-meter row, you're gonna see a lot of bitching from these the short, small guys.
No one bitches like short guys when they feel like the workout was skewed for the bigger guys.
If they announce that, I'm going to post a selfie of me smiling with a thumbs up in the end.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I mean, it is what it is. You know what you're getting with CrossFit.
Yeah,
And it's a sport. We're not testing fitness by its own physics definition. So you do have to be generally prepared, and this Open has shown that with the new movements and then just the heavy gymnastics that are being tested. So as I say, CrossFit is evolving into who is the strongest gymnast.
It has been, yeah.
Yeah, that's obviously fit.
Yeah, it's almost like you take you've taken that that football type athlete, who was pretty strong, pretty fast, right, pretty quick, pretty powerful, right, and now you're basically saying this is kind of the athlete that we initially started with, but now we want him to be stronger and we want him to be a good gymnast all at the same time. So he's going to lose out on the ends of the bell curve, right? He's going to lose out a little bit on strength. He's going to lose out a little bit on gymnastics, right? And if you look at the leaderboards, right, you look at Matthew Fraser sitting in first place. He's 33rd in the first workout, 80th in the in 1A, 733 for the rest of them. And we'll see what happens on the fifth. But those first two workouts, they're not even anywhere near the top 10, and they're still scoring him and Rich Fromming both. Sitting in 1 and 2, 49th place, 57th place. Again, just cutting out the outliers who can generally come in and perform given any circumstance.
Yeah, I think we beat that up enough and complained enough. Did you get everything off your chest, Ken?
Until next time. But that being said, I've actually been really surprised at how negative it has been all over the community. Sure. I heard bitching last year, but this year has been, maybe it's more involved now, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, you've had a little more experience than I do, but has it seemed more negative to you this year than it has in the past?
It
hasn't been negative here at SpartanFit. We've just...
in general, like on Facebook and social media.
And our community has been, it's probably been even, if not the same, more excited about the Open this year. And then our team has done well, but that's just been training our asses off for the last year. And, if we were where we are now last year, we would have been top 10 in the region. And with this being very gymnastics based, we're just like, okay, yeah, let's go do it. This is all the stuff we've trained. We've trained correctly for this year's Open, so we don't have anything to complain about. But I agree with you. And you see it on the social media and Facebook, and you hear about it, and you see a lot of people complaining about starting with muscle ups, the handstand push-ups, the overemphasis of gymnastics, and what have you. But maybe some people are upset they paid $20. They lost their $20. But
if that $20 meant that much to you, you probably shouldn't have entered the Open.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You spent more on bad beer in one night, so don't even worry about it.
I mean, maybe they were expecting something different. Maybe it was an expectation issue that, with the scale division, they expected there to be, something that was more along their lines, and that maybe they haven't trained what they're being tested on. I'm not sure, what the issues are. I know with the scaled workout from the muscle up, you could do the wall balls and single unders. So you're going to have people who are like, well, I can't do muscle ups, but I can do double unders. I want to do double unders, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, what do you want them to do? If they just do the scaled workout is double unders and wall balls, what about the person that can't do double unders or muscle ups? So, I mean, you're never going to please everybody, but I mean, I think just from observing the discussions on Facebook and the affiliate owners' pages, you do see a lot of griping and owners talking about their members are upset for whatever reasons. And I think it's maybe just how you lead your own community. And you have to lead it a little bit better and come up with ways to get them excited about the workouts. If anything, it's pulled our community together stronger. And the reality is, nobody here is going to the games. Nobody at your box is going to the games. Nobody here is going to regionals. We got some people that are close, but we're the ultimate thing is we're just doing this to have fun.
Thanks, Coach.
You suck. Now let's go work out.
The photo I have on my phone from Rob Orlando is it's your job as a coach to tell your athletes that they are not going to regionals. And I did do that, actually.
What does that guy know?
I know, right?
I did tell our best guy in here, I said, you are not going to regionals. And he wasn't very happy with me.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. I mean, I talked about it with one of our coaches, Ashley McBride. I said, look, you're a mother. You've got 4 kids. I know you want to go to regionals, and this is before they changed the whole, the system down to just 20 athletes. But, you're not training 4 hours a day. Your lifestyle's not set up to do everything that all it takes to get to that next level. We're just doing this for fun.
Yeah.
You want to get better. You're competitive with yourself. But that is the ultimate reason why most people in the CrossFit community are doing this. They're doing it for fun and for just a personal challenge. So, I mean, just have some fun with it and don't take it too hard if, the workouts aren't exactly designed for you.
Right, exactly, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that this year I heard bitching across the board from top to bottom, and I think the negativity stemmed from a few different places. One, first of all, I don't think the competitors were ready for what happened this year and that last minute, sort of shake up in terms of who's going where, the super regions and all that sort of thing.
Right.
And I think also, the CrossFit box owners, from my perception of the ones that I've met, they feel like they have an obligation or responsibility to get their members involved into the Open. And at least on some level. And I'm not saying they're out there like forcing people to do it, but I think subconsciously there's a certain amount of pressure that they're experiencing to get people to participate, right? And then when they do that and their members can't do the first workout, it naturally leads to, a feeling of being let down, or a feeling of even distrust to a certain degree.
Right.
But the thing you have to realize is with CrossFit, and you're talking about, again, the general physical preparedness, what you're signing up for is the unknown. It's not a local fucking competition where we're going to post the WODs for you and you're going to have 4 fucking weeks to train them over and over again and show up and stand on the podium. This is a global fucking competition that you're entering into, and you are signing up for the unknown. So, could you not do the first workout? Congratulations, you got what you paid for. Could you do the workout? Congratulations, you got what you paid for. Everybody got what they paid for.
You can't cherry pick the Open.
No. No, you can't.
They announced the workout on Thursday, and if you signed up,
You're doing it.
You can't not go on Friday.
You got
I mean,
3-4 days to get it
suppose
done.
you could just not do the workout because it wasn't designed for you, and maybe there are people doing that.
Exactly.
But it's the open. You got what you paid for.
I did all the workouts scaled this year because, I'm not going to regionals because Scott told me I wasn't.
Baby.
he ruined my
Such a
my
baby.
hopes. Yeah, I was the pussy that did scaled because I was just looking for a good workout. I didn't want to hang from the rings for 7 minutes. I didn't want to do a handstand push-up for 8. I actually thought they were all fun, with the exception of 15-2. I thought they were all fun, and I got exactly what I paid for. So I wasn't, but I do understand. There is a little bit when HQ sends you a bunch of shit. This is why I do the open. They had an article. This is why I do the open, and they even were like gave attitude about it. They're like, I can't remember how they put it, but too bad there's no scale division. Oh wait, there is. They're trying to get. Do you remember that one?
I didn't see it. No. I'm glad I didn't see it now.
It was funny. And so then after I read that, I'm like, well, yeah. So I went back to the box and I was like, well, there's a scale division. And then 15-2 had pull-ups. And anybody who's in my box doing scaled probably can't do a pull-up yet without a band or, some kind of assistance.
Sure.
So then automatically, I think it was the scaled athletes that were more pissed off than anything because they were sold like, you can still be a part of this even if you're not an RX competitor, and then 15-2 you better have your pull-ups. But then they bounced back with 15, was it 3 with the single unders and wall balls?
Yeah.
But then they were mad because they went from a triplet. It went from triplet to a couplet.
Yep.
Like, well, where's our third movement? I'm like, get a muscle up.
Yeah, but
and there was also people like you. Well, I can do double unders, but I can't do muscle ups. Can I do double unders and scaled? Like, no.
And I think it goes back to what we said previous episode. Is there just shouldn't be a scaled.
Yeah, exactly.
There just should be one division.
Yeah.
It just gives you more room to disappoint more people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but I hear what you're saying, but and really when it comes down to it from a box owner standpoint, you got to do many jobs, wear many hats, one of which is run a business, usually by yourself or with the support of a spouse or friend or partner. You probably work in another job, you're trying to train people, you're trying to train your team, you're trying to train yourself, and somehow, earn enough money to keep the lights on. And at the end of the day, when it comes to things like this, like you're selling this as this thing, it's all about managing expectations. So if people have the expectation that they're going to be able to do the workouts, and then they pay up, because, and what they paid for is the unknown, but in the back of their mind they're thinking I'll be able to do this. It's only going to create a situation where they can be disappointed. Yeah. If it's sold from the standpoint of, look, I want you to sign up and give it a shot. It should be a good baseline for you. Whether you can do the workouts or not, we're going to learn from a training standpoint where your weaknesses are, right? And with the $20, we'll be able to tell you where you stack up in the entire world, right? That's basically what the expectation should have been for these people starting out, so that there isn't any of that animosity or negativity or people running around saying, well, I can't do this, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's all about managing that, and then the mentality behind the can'ts. Right? No, don't tell me what you can't do. I don't give a shit what you can't do. Yeah. I care what you can't do from the standpoint of, here's where we're starting. Right? You can't do a handstand push-up. Okay, here's the progression. We're going to get you your first handstand push-up, and by the end of X number of days, you'll be able to say, I can do a handstand push-up.
Well, right? That's why I know you guys don't like the scale division, but that's why I did it, because during this open time, I am still trying to get fit, or improve my fitness, I should say.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know, right? And I'll tackle those weaknesses, on my off time. I don't really need, like I said, I don't need to do a Metcon and not scale it to know that I suck at muscle-ups, or to know I suck at handstand push-ups. I can work on those weaknesses on my own time. Or during class. I don't need to do it during the Metcon, because, like I said earlier, we would never do certain things for a Metcon. But now all of a sudden it's the open, and all of a sudden the rules are different. If you had an athlete that can't even do one handstand push-up and it's time for the Metcon, are you going to say, all right, go for it for 7 minutes, or 8 minutes. I want you to just do your best to get that one, and then I'll see you tomorrow. Or would you scale it to get on the box, and do a push-up from the box.
Yeah. Well, if it's me personally, I'm gonna do what's in the best interest of the athlete. Right. So if the athlete is mentally prepared for the fact that, you know what, hey, I may not be able to get it, but I'm okay with that. It's $20 fucking. Like I said, I've spent more on bad beer in one night. Right.
Yeah.
No big deal. Right. Then I'll go over there and I'll work with them, and maybe we get one. Right. But if I know they're going to be some fragile little China doll about the whole thing, and you know they're going to be all, oh, I can't do it, then I'm not even going to have them try. No, look, let's get you started over here. This is where you need to be. If you've been in the gym, as you have for several years now, and you still don't have a handstand push-up, well, why not? Right? I mean, that's the first question you have to ask yourself.
Because I'm 300 pounds, Dick.
Okay. Well, get stronger. I mean, it sounds like a very dick move thing to say, right?
No.
Like, it's a very black and white dick move thing to say. But if you have a year to prepare and you know what's coming, it's your own fault. I mean, at the end of the day. Unless you have a physical limitation, right? It's your own fault. Right? I knew muscle-ups were coming for the last year. My ring muscle-ups suck. My bar muscle-ups, okay. Ring muscle-ups, terrible, horrible, right? But I've been in here working strict ones, trying to get better at it, right? Because I know it's coming next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and I'm only getting older, right? So it's up to me. So, you know, at the end of the day, we all have to take responsibility for what we choose, and choosing into that means you choose into the unknown. Right?
Exactly.
You've chosen to play this game. The game is the unknown. I don't want to hear you whining. Right? I'll support you through whatever you need, but don't whine.
It's so fun to whine, though.
I know,
It is
right?
really fun
So
to whine.
easy.
I think
Like,
it's a
I don't
statement
speak
of our-
Chinese though.
It's a statement of our culture, though.
So
I mean,
easy.
it's so fun for most people to bitch on Facebook about
Oh, God, yeah.
everything. Even I know top level athletes in the valley who bitch every announcement.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially like I was saying earlier with the standards of the handstand push-up.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah,
think it's
I
just
mean,
part of our culture to
As
bitch.
if Dave Castro is going to go back and say, all right, well, we're going to change it now. We're going to undo that standard and do it differently now,
Yeah.
right?
People are just gonna have to get used to keeping their hands where they're supposed to.
Put your feet over the fucking line, moron. That's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah, totally.
Cool. All right.
So,
Well,
I know.
we kind of beat that one to death,
Yeah.
right? I think everybody kind of knows where we stand, and you're responsible, people.
Yeah.
Be responsible.
Stop bitching.
Quit your whining.
Let's talk about 15-5 predictions, and
Let's do
then
it.
let's close this thing up.
Do it up.
Cam Miller, you're up. Prediction.
I am predicting something similar to last year's burpee snatch.
No, you're not.
I'm not? Are you doing the same thing?
No, I'm just kidding.
Ascending thrusters with burpees in between.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I don't think they're going to do box jumps this year.
I'm going to defer, but I do think there's going to be a heavy barbell. That's all I'm going to say. Because, really, I think Scott's right. We haven't seen one thus far. There really hasn't been a good test of that other than the 185, which no ascending weights, but you had ascending reps, and they added up quick if you're able to get through the handstand push-up. So I'd like to see, or I'm thinking there's going to be a heavy barbell.
Yeah, my prediction is a chipper, and the movements that I'm throwing in there are calorie row, burpees, box jumps, squat snatches, and bar muscle-ups and thrusters. So I've pretty much just thrown
Just
everything
throw everything
in
in
there.
there.
Yeah.
Well, you can't be wrong.
Bound to get something, right? Yeah,
I told you
exactly.
they're doing
Yeah.
burpees and thrusters.
Exactly.
They're gonna announce something, and Scott's gonna send me a text. Got it.
Yeah. That was on my list, man.
He said squat snatch every single episode, so eventually he will be right.
I did. That's true.
Yeah.
I did say squat
Throw enough
snatch in
shit
there.
at the wall, some of it will stick, right?
I'm saying it's going to be in there, and we talked about it last time. As far as predicting, and then we are totally off because we were talking about predicting for 15.3 and looking at the athletes and what is going to make for a good TV, and we thought it was going to be a heavy barbell because you had Lauren Brooks, and they threw no barbells.
The bigger athlete got fucked.
Yeah. So
That was just mean.
with this workout, you've got 3 former champs of the women from prior CrossFit games, And as far as strengths go with them, I mean, they can do everything, right? But the one limiting thing I would say is that Sam Briggs has a bad back, and they know that. Maybe they designed the workout a long time ago, though. She can't overhead press, horrible overhead presser. And Annie Thorsdottir also has a bad back. But, I mean, anything else you throw at them, they're probably going to do well on. But I think it's going to be an endurance test, and I think they're going to want to see it come down to the very end. So it's not going to be a short workout. It's not going to be a 5 to 8 minute workout. It's going to be longer. I'm going to lean towards 12 to 18 minutes, chipper style, and it's going to have squat snatches.
Look me right in the eyes and hear that.
I'm going to go 95%.
That's commitment right
squat
there.
Snatch. And I'm also going to say it's going to throw in bar muscle ups. So you heard it here.
There you go. You heard it. I mean, that's a definitive prediction right there.
That's some confidence right there.
Yeah, I think.
You should have a bet.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. Well, I was just gonna say, I think Dave Castro should wear a shirt that says "I don't give a fuck" at every announcement, because he totally throws everybody off their game.
He pretty much says it with his face.
The way he announces it is so irritating. I just want to punch the screen every time. Ugh.
Oh, you love Dave.
The way he just pauses for no reason, and he smiles. I think he sees his reflection in
Showbiz,
the camera.
man.
Like, he's just
Showbiz.
awed by his own awesomeness, or his perception of his own awesomeness.
You're just being jealous now.
Oh, I'm a hater.
I know you are. Stop it, man. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here. We got the announcement coming down. What, in like 2 hours? 2 hours. To 2 hours.
To 2 hours.
To 2 hours. We got the announcement coming down. So we're gonna be hang out and check that out. And we thank you for your time and attention today. Be sure and check out SpartanFit CrossFit if you're in North Phoenix. Be sure and check out CrossFit Tempe if you're down in South Scottsdale and Tempe. And check out Hardwired Athletics for your gear. And we will see you next time, guys. Take care.
See you guys.
Later.
50.